This is up. First coaching tool I want to introduce you to is called Specto. I know some of you have heard about it. It's a new tracking system for bowling centers and coaches, both. We've already, first, it's a one sensor. So as some of you are familiar, CATS has been affiliated and with Kegel now close to probably 17, 18 years. It's been a very effective tool. This is the tool that's going to replace it. It's like CATS on steroid. So first, as you can see on the lanes, there's all kinds of sensors. Specto is one sensor. In essence, you have a laser that's traveling really fast at a very high rate of speed, and it's taking measurements 360 degrees in a circle. And it's traveling so fast that it literally is like having 120 sensors on every lane. So it's not guesstimating where the ball is, it's actually giving you the location of the ball in real time. Okay? This is for bowlers and coaches. Specto has two applications. It's a mobile app for bowlers. Can you imagine you're going to be getting live feedback on your phone or your iPad as you're bowling? And it's to be put in every bowling center in the world. That's why we have our distributors here today. Got them excited about the product. And it's a desktop app for coaches, which are going to provide more data for coaches. We need information because we need verification. When this gets out to the field and coaches can learn and become more competent, they're going to get their bowlers better, faster, and they're going to understand the game at a much higher level. So that's what the screen is going to look for. It's a simple live session screen for smartphones and tablets. Now the bowler's model is going to have a little bit less information versus the coaches. The coaches are going to have more categories to look at than they know what to do with. Okay, and it's also going to feature for the bowler something called deep practice. Now you're starting to hear this term more. This term really comes from a book called The Talent Code. Now I ran across this, I think Rick introduced me to it, but in my research, you know, Chris asked me a year ago, he says, why do you think we're doing so well in this particular market? Why do you think we continue to grow and get busy? And I said, to be honest with you, I think we're the best at getting to the root cause faster and getting people to be better faster and getting them to understand their game. I think we do that amazingly. All right? Well, that's what Deep Practice was written by a guy that said, how come there's all these people that are doing so well in these locations when it comes to playing a violin, playing the piano, playing tennis? And he found out that they practice all the same way. They do it slowly and meticulously, and they focus on different components. It's called, Rick, help me out. Chunking. It's called chunking. It's called focusing on a chunk. So, how many of you had students, they had a lesson, and then they kind of dabbled in what you were trying to get them to do, and then they just practice all over the place? Dave, does that happen? All the time. And what happens is, when bowlers don't know how to focus on what they're doing, they get frustrated because they don't get better. There's a mode here called Deep Practice, which allows you to pull in on the screen on exactly what you're trying to perfect, and it gives you live data in real time. So if they're working on their target line, their launch angle, for example, it's only going to pull up the launch angle, and it's going to give you measurements in real time only on launch angle. So what's connected to launch angle? Arm swing, body position, alignment. You're going to be working on your alignment and your body position so that your launch angle gets better. And that's the only thing you're going to work on. And that bowler doesn't need a coach standing behind them to do it, because they're going to have it on their phone, they're going to have it on their tablet. So there, you can actually take this when it's on the computer. You can turn around 360 degrees to 3D. How about that? Talk about a different perspective. So you're also going to be able to put it on your, what do you call it, the iWatch, and your phone. Sit it there, and you're going to get live data, shot for shot, and you You don't need me standing behind you verifying whether or not you're doing it. You're getting that information. So you imagine how much fun it's going to be for bowlers to challenge themselves, and they can do it on their own, and it's going to be an app that actually downloads. And so on the coaching app, which you can see up there on the board, has a lot more categories. Now there's some really exciting stuff in this. The first thing, it's all the data. So I'm a data guy. I really like to dive into stuff, and I really like to hone into some things and get some verification. So I've got more things that I can possibly measure. If you look back here on this board right here, see if this works, it actually gives you skid, hook, roll on every shot. So coaches, as you know, what's one of the hardest things to teach in bowling? Understanding ball motion. But if you're going to score today at a competition, you have to understand it. It's the hardest thing to teach, especially if you're not a visual person. Now on every shot, you've got blue, red, and green if the ball gets into the roll, and where it actually happened, how far the skid phase was, what the launch angle was, how long the hook phase was, and if it got into the roll, and where it started and where it ended. You're also going to get deflection off the pin deck. Because remember, this takes it 360 degrees. You're actually going to see the path of the ball and understand deflection as the ball is going off the pin deck. Understanding deflection so that when they wrap 10, they'll learn when they wrap 10, or they left a 4-pin or a 4-9 or a blower 7-10. So the ability to teach faster and get them to understand and keep them excited so that they'll practice more and get better faster and enjoy the game is right here. We've also used Specto in the Weber Cup. We've already done this. This is hopefully, and the goal is to make bowling on television a different experience for the viewer. And you're going to be getting live data. This is an example of what the screen looked like. And as you guys know, one of the hardest things to do is explain to a new bowler or the average person how much better the best players in the world are versus a guy that's bowling on a half shot. And you can see here, when he was playing with the first ball he pulled out versus his new ball, the angle change, where the ball broke, the difference in hook angle, the fact that where the ball got out to, how it's shaped. Look at the difference in the roll phase. Look how much longer this roll phase is versus this one. Can you imagine how much you're going to shorten the learning curve when it comes to actual ball reaction? And again, I believe we're going to create a new future with this. There's going to be a new language. There's going to be a Specto language because we're going to have games. We're going to have ranges for bowlers. Like, we're going to be collecting so much data. Let's say in 3 years, there's 300 bowling centers that have Specto, and we have all the information from the best players in the world, Team USA, the best college players, and we're going to have ranking in all the different skill levels, and you're going to be able to compare yourself to the players in all of those categories. And it's going to be real, and it's not going to be a guess. So if you want to know what the best 5 college players in the world are at this level in launch angle, ball speed, break point range, loft. We now can measure loft. 30 years ago, loft was bad. Today, when you get in front of the ball return, the best players in college can average 230 throwing it past the arrows. It's a skill you have to develop. Right? So now you can teach loft, and you get real feedback on whether they're lofting a foot or 2 foot or 3 foot, and they can learn how to be consistent. So check this out. Parker shoots 189 and Gesper shoots 245. Look how much more consistent the guy with 21 miles an hour, 600 RPMs is versus the guy that's quote-unquote a stroker. You talk about dangerous. And that's real, and that's measurable, and that's graphic. and they can talk about it and you can understand it. Pretty cool stuff. I cannot wait. We have it right now. The second product is, this has been sticking up on lane 12 for a long time. I know Coach Rick has used it quite a bit. This is called the torch. It's an LED light. It's so simple. I have to tell you the story, actually. You know, it's hard for Chris to get, I told him this earlier, it's hard for Chris to get excited about the training center. I've been pumping him up and pumping him up. And finally, the last couple of years, he's been really excited about what we're doing here. And I get a phone call, he's in Nashville, I get a phone call, and he sends me this picture of this lane light. He goes, man, you have to see this. And I really had never heard him this excited about the training center before. And I'm like, so he sends me this, but it was really kind of hard to understand. And of course, he was talking 100 miles an hour. But the thing that I took away from it was I'd never heard him that excited about a product and talking about coaching and the ability to, what this would do for the excitement of people trying to learn how to bowl. And so we finally got it here, and Alexander's down there getting ready to demonstrate it, and all of a sudden we put it on the lane, and I got in front of it, and all of a sudden the light bulb went off in my head, literally. The hardest thing to teach is angles, because the lane is going north and south, and we don't bowl north and south anymore. We bowl east and west. And if you're not a visual person, you don't understand the angle that you're playing. Well, this gives you instant feedback. No matter where you stand on the approach, the angle changes, and you can see it. And now it's going to straighten out your arm swing. The number one thing our coaches work here, 95% of the people that come here, is the ball's behind their back. They have to reroute it with their shoulder. The ball's pretty far away from their ankle. They can't keep their elbow in because of bad alignment. This fixes that. The amount of people that take a lesson and they use the torch, how much difference do you see when they improve, Rick?
A lot of tables get vastly improved almost instantly.
Almost instantly. It totally changes their perspective on the lane. As you can see here, the angle changes. And it's just a characteristic of light. Okay? Now, down also on lane 12, you can see some lasers. All right, this is going to be something that you can buy. It's not available right now. But those two angles are one's at 4 degrees and one's at 6 degrees. Again, showing people what the bowling ball actually does and getting them to understand that you're creating angle on the back end and understanding shapes. That is the hardest thing. We have a lot of great coaches in this room. That's the hardest thing to teach. And if they can learn ball reaction sooner, they can make adjustments faster and not get lost on the lanes. That's the thing that makes this so exciting for me, because I believe people are going to stay in the game more, they're going to practice more, because they're going to get better. Okay? Okay, so what we're going to show you now, you thought that was cool. Wait till you see this. This is Coach Alex down here. We just hired him from Russia. And he's been working with a device. You can see him walking around doing all kinds of crazy things with his hands. What you're going to see right now is what he is seeing. There you go. Now, one of the most important aspects of teaching, folks, is having the player get instant feedback. As I told you, the number one thing that we work on at the KTC Training Center, with 95% of the people that walk in the door, is getting the swing on plane. What you have here is 2 planes. And what he can do with those on is he can actually get his body and his head in the proper position, and it gives him a visual so that his hand and his arm move up and down the target line. The other thing that it does is if his head moves left or right, his body is going to move out of that grid, out of that plane. Now, some of you know the saying that feel and real are two different things. That's what coaches and that's what players fight. This immediately gives him instant feedback to straighten out his swing and keep his head in the proper position. Here's another angle. Playing inside, and he's got it lined up with torch. There you can see it. Pretty cool, huh? All right. So the next thing you're going to see is we've actually laid the oil pattern down on the lane.
Wow.
Loop bowling.
Maybe it's visible. Look at that.
So, again, another difficult part of our sport is to get them to understand oil pattern, to get people to understand oil pattern. If bowlers are not certain, they will not throw the ball confidently. And understanding the shape of the pattern, the length of the pattern, where the loads are. Again, if you're visual, that really helps you in bowling. Most of the people I work with, they're not visual. So now we've taken this device and laid that oil pattern on the lane, and you can actually see how it's laid out. Real length, real scale. So you can see the darker blue right there. Chances are we're going to be starting on that pattern, right on that grid. This is really cool. You have what he's looking at now is he has a bowler that's doing a 3.5 step drill. This is Stuart Stenton, one of our graduates at Weber. Rhythm, tempo, timing. What the bowler is seeing Stuart do this drill. The fact that they're getting feedback as he's doing it makes it much easier for the bowler to pick up the correct rhythm, not only with his hand and his arm, but also the steps. So he's looking at, you're seeing what he's looking at right here. And immediately, it's like watching a dancer. Immediately, his brain is getting feedback, and he's going to learn the task and the skill much faster. You know how you video something, you have to come back to the machine, you have to watch it, you have to go through a description. Right now, he's practicing it as he's watching it. All right. I saw a ballerina on the table one day, and it was just spinning on the table. What are we doing now? Woo! Right there. Give Alex a hand. So as you can see, I think this is gonna inject new energy into the coaching world. I think it's going to, as John would say, as we learn more things and as we have more verifiable data, it's going to open new pathways to curiosity. And the better coaches that we can become, and the better experience that new bowlers can have, we can move them along that chain so that they stay in the game a little bit longer, and then hopefully get hooked to the game and become lifelong customers. I appreciate you guys coming out tonight. I really do. Thank you for being a very part of a special evening. And now we're going to be doing some demonstrations down the lane, and we have some great bowlers to be able to do that. So we're going to be on 11, 12, 9, 10, 7, 8, 5, and 6. So I know some of you have brought your equipment too, but first thing we're going to do is Ramon and Verity and Christus. Okay. They're all going to be demonstrating the products. You're more than welcome to come down there. Plus, everybody needs to get the picture taken, please, over there. We've got our photographers over there, right in front of the screen. We really appreciate it. And make yourself at home and go on down there and enjoy the experience.
Thank you.